Okay, we have a quorum and our president is on. Jacques, whenever you're ready to get started, we can start.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. I believe this special meeting is around our budget. So with that being said, now that we have a quorum, I know you have given the meeting over to me, but I will, since you briefed us on the budget, I will turn it back over to you, Director, to kind of walk us through the budget. Is that what happens at this particular point, or do we just take the vote? You have to kind of give me some directions.
Well, we need to call the meeting to order and we need to call do attendance.
Mr. President, there should be a script in your materials.
Okay, I'm not seeing it right now, but I will find it. I apologize to everyone who is on, but I'm knocking on this as if I have a gavel. Since we do have a quorum, can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Representative Chamberlain, Representative Dinkins, Representative Mozendar, Representative Wareed, Representative Best, Representative Kang,
Present.
Representative Colson, Representative Goulet,
Here.
Representative Henderson,
Present.
Representative Johnson Law,
Present.
Representative Thompson,
Present.
Representative Williams,
Present.
Representative Patterson.
Present. Thank you.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Jen, can you resend us the script? I do not see it here in my notes. And I want to make sure I do this properly. So if you could send that to me really quick, that would be appreciated. Thank you. I see it now. Thanks everyone for bearing with me while I pulled up the script and everything. All right. Now that we have a quorum, good afternoon. It is actually 4:07 on December 4th, 2025, and this District of Columbia State Board of Education special meeting is now called to order. The purpose of this special meeting is to vote on Resolution SR 25-15, fiscal year 2027 needs for appropriations. The meeting is being held virtually via Zoom and streamed live on the State Board's YouTube page for members of the public to attend. Okay, we've already called established a quorum. Members, we have a draft agenda before us. I want to remind members that based on the State Board bylaws, the agenda of the special meeting shall include only those items set forth in the notice of the purpose of the meeting. Our purpose is to vote on SR 25-15. Any additional items of business must be discussed at a working meeting tomorrow. Given that context, are there any corrections or additions to the agenda? Seeing no hands raised and hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
It has been moved by Representative Thompson. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. I believe that was Representative Henderson, as I see his face popped on first. So I will go with him. The motion is to approve the agenda. Has been probably moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The motion is approved. Again, welcome to our special meeting to vote on SR 25-15, approving fiscal year 2027 needs for appropriation. DC official code requires that the State Board to prepare and submit to the mayor annual estimates of the expenditures essential to the State Board operations for the following year, which the mayor includes in the wider annual budget prepared for and submitted to the council. On behalf of the State Board, I want to thank the residents of the District of Columbia for the trust you place in us to amplify the voice of the public on matters related to public education. We look forward to continuing our commitment to remain open and transparent about our agency's spending. Prior to the vote on the state resolution, I turn it over to Director Butler to present our needs for appropriation.
Thank you, President Patterson. So what you all should be able to see on the screen before you is our presentation that lays out the need for appropriations. I will say that this was prepared by me, the Executive Director, Kimberly Humphrey, our Ombudsman for Public Education, Dan Davis, the Chief Student Advocate, and Roma Battle, who is our Budget and Operations Officer for SBOE. So first, what you will first see is that our FY26 approved budget compared to our FY27 proposed budget, there is a difference of $105,393. And that difference will account for the one-time funding that was allocated to our budget in FY26. That one-time funding was removed in FY27. When we break down the largest cost drivers for our FY27 budget, they really fall into three areas. Obviously, the removal of the 105, but the largest increase in our budget is to our IT fixed costs that went from $38,478 to $50,711, which represents a 31.79% increase from 26 to FY27. That is the largest increase we've seen in our fixed IT costs, and these costs are generated from the Office of the Chief Technology Officer at Octo. And then there was a slight increase, as there is every year, to the fringe benefit rate. So even though we may not be spending more in benefits, they do go up slightly because they cost more each year. So those are our three main cost drivers and what we propose. And in taking all of this into account, we really had to work collaboratively and diligently to make sure we were able to cover all of these increases. So that meant that we had to decrease in some other areas. For example, in board operations, we have eliminated all technology, not technology, computer hardware, like actual laptops and mouses or things like that, have been eliminated from our FY27 proposed budget. There's a decrease in line items such as out-of-city travel, conference fees, advertising, print, so that we could accommodate the increase in IT costs and the removal of the one-time funds. A further breakdown, you will see how much each office has in terms of the $3.7 million budget. The board operations has the largest majority of that, followed by the Ombudsman's office and then the Chief Student Advocate office. But overall, our need for appropriations is 2.7% lower than it was in FY26. Are there any questions?
I believe I saw Representative Chang had a question. He put it in the chat.
I can't, I mean,
Is this optional tech that we buy? And how much choice do we have in the tech?
perfect. So when you say optional tech, are you referring to the fixed IT costs, Representative Chang? So so the increase in those, so that is not, those are not optional technology. These are fees that are associated to, because we do not have our own internal IT department at the state board. So we use Octo, which is the Office of the Chief Technology Officer. And so there were some increase in items that we used to operate, but there were also some new items that, for example, like almost $9,000. That just is a new thing that they're now charging for that they were not charging for previously. There were also several discrepancies in the
License.
users, the licenses to some of the databases. So, for example, there are people who haven't worked for the state board in years, not even like just in FY26, but like 23, and They somehow counted those people towards our account, and we've asked them to remove them. They said they are unable to, but they're charging us for them. And we've said that these people do not work for the state board. Some of them work for other government agencies. Um, but at this point, they've telling us that the Octo is a fixed IT cost and they cannot go back and reallocate those costs. So that is a two-part. There's some things that we are being charged for that we shouldn't because those people no longer work for the state board. And then there's also just new increases in their fees overall. It is, Robert. I absolutely agree. Representative Johnson Law.
Thanks, Director Butler. I just wanted to know the one-time funds, like what specifically was that for?
So when they took them out last year, what they essentially asked us to do last year is submit a budget. We submitted a budget and they asked us, can you take out $105,000? And we just cut the $105,000 from various places. And so we sent it to them because we thought they would take it out. They took it out and then the next day they gave it back to us as a one-time enhancement, which means in FY 27.
Right.
we would
Now-
not
now
get
you have
those.
to take it back.
Yes, and so they recoded it.
it so they could take it away from us. And I apologize that I dropped for whatever reason for a minute. Did we also tell Representative Chang that we are sending a letter, kind
No,
of
we
talk?
haven't gotten that far. We're just
Okay.
answering questions right now.
Okay, because I
Um,
was, since you were talking about those fees, I was just trying to answer that particular question, but okay.
Yeah,
Thanks-
and so
thanks, Director
Representative
Butler.
Johnson Law,
Mhm.
so the one-time fees where they took them out of out-of-city travel, buying of new computers, supplies. And so we went back through and reallocated where we thought the 105 should come out of across the three offices. So it was split between the three offices, the board operations, the ombudsman, and the chief student advocate.
Got it. Thank you.
Is there any additional feedback, questions, comments before I turn it back over to President Patterson?
I have feedback, but should we complete the presentation first or?
Oh, the presentation was done.
Okay, all right.
People started.
It's in abbreviated format. Then I do have some brief feedback. I just want to thank you, Executive Director Butler, our Ombudsman and Office of Student Advocate, and President Patterson for all your work on putting this budget together. I'm going to vote for this and support it today based upon, your efforts and your presentation you made at the Administrative Committee. But I do have real concerns about how this was handled, not on our side, but on the fact that we are, as an independent agency, still receiving a budget mark. That concern is really further compounded upon the fact that then additional costs, unfunded mandates essentially, are then being offloaded into that mark. So not only is the mark flat, which is understandable in a tight fiscal year, but then services that were covered under other agencies previously that we don't even utilize in some cases are being placed in our budget, which then forces you to make reductions to essential programs or services that we really could use here at a small agency like ours. So
Right.
hopefully, the mayor's office will consider this when they propose their policy budget and restore some of those funds or make a correction to the funds that were inappropriately added and let us put some of the items back that had to be taken out to pay for that. So I just want to thank you for your work on this, but I think there's still a lot of work to do on the part of the board members to express these concerns and hopefully not have this happen again in the future. So thank you so much.
Were there other comments that people want to make?
Representative Thompson has her hand up.
Representative Thompson, go right ahead, ma'am.
Yes, good evening. I agree with everything Representative Goulet shared. I do anticipate that tomorrow when we give our full admin report, we can dig in a little bit more to discuss what the letter should include in our approach to future budgets. Unfortunately, it is not up to us, it is up to Octo to set this amount. And as Representative Goulet shared, our office leads have done an amazing amount of work to get us to a place where we can meet our mark, whether we should have a mark or not. I would note that one of the reasons I am urging members and I will be voting for the budget is because we actually do not get another bite at the apple. If we do not approve this budget, unfortunately, we leave it up to the mayor's office to make these determinations for us further. And given the lack of transparency in this particular line item, in addition to the fact that we know there are other pressures this budget year, I want to respect the work that our office leads put in addition to doing our best to advocate for ourselves at this point in the budget process, while making sure we do not just say it's okay. And we do need to make a decision as a board about how exactly we champion our agency. And so I look forward to having a longer discussion tomorrow about how we do that. But I understand that while I am not pleased, that the responsible thing to do, in my point of view, is to approve the budget that our office leads have prepared, and do want to thank them for their very hard work in this unfortunate situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Thompson. Couldn't agree with you more. I saw words in the chat from our Vice President, but I also want to give him the opportunity if he would like to speak as well. Vice President Williams.
Thank you, President Patterson. I'll be brief. As Representatives Goulet and Thompson shared a lot of the same sentiment that was discussed in the administrative meeting, and I think we can address Representative Thompson's questions around what the content of our letter looks like in addressing these concerns. But given that we do have control over whether we approve or not approve the letter right now and keep that within our own autonomy, I will also plan to support voting for this budget at this time.
Thank you very much, Vice President. I won't reiterate what my colleagues have already said very, very well. The admin meeting, I appreciate the admin committee for the discussion that we had on this yesterday. And again, I appreciate our office leads for all the work that you guys put into this. These are very difficult decisions. We are a small office, and every amount of money that they take away from us hurts in some way, and it has an impact. So I really appreciate the work that went into this and the decision that made into the presentation that was just presented to us as voting members. And with that being said, at this time, we will move to vote on one state resolution. I will look for a motion and a second to adopt the resolution, followed by Director Butler reading the resolution into the record. Once the resolution is read into the record, we will have member discussions before calling the roll votes are conducted. Hold on one second. At this time, okay, we will now move to adopt a resolution, SR 2025-15, approving fiscal year 2027 needs for appropriation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Okay, the picture that I see coming up on my phone is Representative Thompson, so it's moved by Representative Thompson. I'm going to go ahead and take a second by, I believe that Representative Johnson Law.
Second.
Okay, all right. Okay. The motion to adopt SR 25-15 is properly moved and seconded. Director Butler, will you read the resolution into the record?
Yes. Where'd it go? It was just on the screen. There it is. State Board of Education resolution approving fiscal year 2027 need for appropriations. Whereas in 2013, the Council of the District of Columbia approved the State Board of Education Personnel Authority Amendment Act of 2012, effective April 27, 2013, to ensure that the DC State Board of Education had the authority to operate as an independent agency, including the hiring of its own staff and preparing its own budget. Whereas the DC Official Code requires the State Board to prepare and submit to the mayor annual estimates of expenditures and appropriations essential to State Board operations for the following year, which the mayor includes in the wider annual budget prepared for and submitted to the DC Council. Whereas the State Board staff have prepared a budget reflecting the need for appropriations to meet the priorities and fiscal year 2027 of the agency's 3 offices: the DC State Board of Education, the Office of the Ombudsman for Public Education, and the Office of the Student Advocate. Whereas the State Board appreciates the trust placed in the agency by its residents of the District of Columbia and shall remain open and transparent about its spending. And whereas the fiscal year that begins on October 1st, 2026, the State Board proposes a need for appropriations of $3,718,204 with $3,232,302 to be spent on personnel services and $485,902 to be spent on non-personnel services. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on December 2nd, 2025, that the State Board approves the fiscal year 2027 need for appropriations and request that Mayor Muriel Bowser include the estimate approved herein in her annual budget submission.
Thank you, Director Butler. There has been some discussion, but parliamentary wise, this is an opportunity to have further discussion on the resolution. Is there further discussion on the resolution? I don't see any hands and I don't see anything in the chat. Seeing no further discussion, the motion is to adopt SR 25-15. Director Butler, will you call the roll?
Yes. Representative Wareed.
Aye.
Representative Best.
Aye.
Representative Chang.
Aye.
Representative Colson.
Aye.
Representative Goulet.
Aye.
Representative Henderson.
Aye.
Representative Johnson Law.
Aye.
Representative Thompson.
Aye.
Vice President Williams.
Aye.
President Patterson.
Aye.
SR 25-1, approving the fiscal year 2027 need for appropriations has passed. Excuse me, SR 25-15 has passed.
All right. Thank you to all of our members, our staff, and the viewing public. I truly appreciate this so we can meet our deadline. We will convene tomorrow, December 3rd at 5 p.m. for our working session. At this time, this special meeting is now adjourned at 4:27 p.m. on December 2nd, 2025. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, members.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Thank you again.